All right, today we're diving into a really powerful one, Paul Kalanithi's memoir, When Breath Becomes Air. This book is this incredibly profound look at what actually makes a life meaningful, and it's written by someone who saw death from both sides, first as a doctor and then as a patient.
So just try to put yourself in this situation for a second. You're this brilliant, top-of-your-game neurosurgeon. You look at these kinds of scans all day long. You see life and death in those shades of gray. But then one day, you realize the scan you're looking at, it's yours. I mean, can you even imagine? That's the exact moment Paul Kalanithi's entire world just flipped.
But before we get to that life-altering diagnosis, we've got to talk about the life he built. I mean, to really get what he lost, you first have to understand the man and the dream he was chasing.
And what a journey it was. Look at this path. He wasn't just a science guy, you know? He had a master's in English Lit, he studied philosophy. He was wrestling with the big, messy questions of life from the very beginning. Stanford, Cambridge, Yale. I mean, this guy was on an absolute mission, a straight shot to the top of his field.
And that's why he chose neurosurgery. See, for him, it was never just about the science or the prestige. It was a calling. It was this unique place where everything he cared about, biology, morality, philosophy, it all slammed together. It was the ultimate arena for him to tackle those questions about meaning and identity he'd always been obsessed with.
And you know what? He did it. He absolutely made it. At just 36 years old, after all that brutal, grueling training, he was there. He'd reached what he called the mountaintop. He was getting these incredible job offers. The life he and his wife, Lucy, had sacrificed everything for was right there, literally within reach. And then, just like that, it all came crashing down. In a single moment, everything changed. He went from wearing the doctor's white coat to the patient's gown. Being a doctor, he knew the numbers, right? And the odds of someone his age, in their 30s, getting this kind of cancer in the spine, it's something like 1 in 10,000. It's basically unheard of. He wasn't just a patient. He was a walking, talking statistical anomaly. And this is really the heart of his crisis. Think about it. He talks about going from being the agent, the person in control, the one making the decisions, the one doing things, to suddenly being the object, the one things are done to, a passive recipient. He said he felt like a lost, confused sheep. His entire sense of self, his identity, was just fractured. So that future, the one he'd worked so hard for, the one he could see so clearly from that mountaintop, gone. It just vanished. And death, this thing he dealt with every day at work, this abstract concept he helped other families navigate, well, it wasn't abstract anymore. It was personal, it was intimate, and it was knocking on his front door. So, with that meticulously planned future completely wiped away, he was forced to face the one question that had driven his entire life. But this time, it wasn't an academic exercise. This time, everything was on the line. And here it is. This is the core question of the entire book. But honestly, it's a question for every single one of us, right? What makes life meaningful enough to keep going? If you take away your future, your job, all your plans, what's left? What's the thing that gives your life value?
And interestingly, he didn't find the answer in a medical textbook. He found it in literature, which was his first love. This quote from Samuel Beckett became his anchor. "I can't go on, I'll go on." It's not about being naively optimistic. It's about something much deeper. It's that raw, stubborn, human refusal to quit. It's just putting one foot in front of the other, even when everything feels hopeless.
And that's the thing. He didn't just sit back and endure it. He acted. He made these incredibly brave choices. He and his wife decided to have a baby, which is just an unbelievable act of hope. He fought like hell to get back into the operating room, to feel like a surgeon again. And of course, he started to write this book to make sense of it all. This really became his new way of thinking. He had this profound realization that, hey, he wasn't just dying, he was still living. Yeah, death was this imposing visitor, as he called it, but it hadn't taken over yet. So his entire focus shifted away from the future he'd lost and onto the present moment he still had. And that decision, that choice to live in the now, to find meaning right here, it led to maybe the most powerful part of his story, the legacy he left for his brand new baby daughter, Katie.
So in his final months, as his energy was just fading away, he poured everything he had left into writing this book. You have to understand, it's not just a memoir. At its heart, it's a message, a letter, to the little girl he knew he'd never see grow up.
And in the end, after this whole life spent searching for meaning in books and in medicine, he found it. It wasn't on the mountaintop of his career. It wasn't in all his incredible achievements. It was right there, in this simple, quiet, sated joy that his daughter brought him. A joy that was so full and so complete it didn't need anything more. It was enough, right there, in the moment.
So Kalanithi's story, it really holds up a mirror to our own lives, doesn't it? He had to face these ultimate questions under the worst pressure imaginable. But they're the same questions we all face, sooner or later. So his journey really leaves us with one final question to ask ourselves. If you had to make an account of your life, right now, what makes it meaningful?